Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice. Point 9. Okay, we're going to continue this. Unlike last episode, we will actually play the game. I will label that. I will have labeled that. New. Oh, good. Get to that just a second. We'll give them money for energy. Yes, great. Money for energy, Switzerland. Okay. American blueprints stolen. El Duce, our spies have stolen plans to let us improve our abilities in heavy bomber prototype to level 2, giving us the following. Okay, so I just, before starting this, reduced our number of officers, more espionage, and started spying on the Americans. So our bomber prototype is here. It's very good. Heavy bomber prototype. Don't know if we're going to build any. But see, that's sort of nice because that jumped past all these. So that was a good, well worth the leadership. No, we're not buying fuel. Okay, small ship armor advanced. And which just allows us to do this, and we want to do that. And basic tank ammunition. Okay. Makes solid steel shot in a round diameter thing. We figured that one out. Okay, yay! Okay. Okay, well, that's good. Now we have some more effects. Monroe effects. Okay, and these aren't mutually exclusive, I do not believe. So we will go with the Monroe effect. That is fairly early. Monroe is the engineer or whatever who figured out that if you can make shape charges. I'm trying to think of how to you sort of make it pointing away from the metal, a triangle pointing away from the metal, that it will create an inverse triangle opposite and sort of an impression and punch through it better and more effectively, and just simply more explosive. So that is the Monroe effect, so we will do that. No. And we have production choices to be made. We are still trying to get this down a bit. I don't know whether we should just wait for events to bring it down or whether we should keep pushing it with extra production for civic goods. Peak battle doctrine. Okay, well, that does look like a good one to keep researching. Grand battle plan right now. Rolling artillery barrages. Yeah, but this is good enough. Decline. Anti-aircraft ammunition allows anti-aircraft upgrade and heavy anti-aircraft upgrade. So we want to stop that and come down here for heavy anti-aircraft upgrade and anti-aircraft upgrade. Good. Other things we want to do like this. Inner service. Let's do inner service. 6 hours reduction. That'll get us a whole 6 hours reduction between attacks. That will be remarkably good. Bank for international settlements, absolutely, yes. We want that. In my opinion, never not take those. Some of the we've gone down to low popularity. Now, I'm from Turkey. No, thank you. No, we don't want to trade out there now. Politics, okay. Our fascists at 28%, paternal at 16, National Socialist. Don't really know of that party at all. Stalinist, various commies. Okay, well, we need to support our own ruling party even more, I guess. We don't want to fall from power. We will give them fuel for some money. Okay, Portugal. No, thank you. Okay, attritional warfare advanced. Yeah, we're just going to keep on this. Increase our morale. Motorized engineers have upgraded. Well, good. Okay. Now we'll just, so that we're continuing with some of this, let's just upgrade here. Sort of a little surprised we don't get a piercing upgrade, we just get more heart attack, but whatever. Maybe it's somewhere else as the main heart attack. No, I just don't want to do that much shipping that far away. Okay. No. Okay. Now, that is, well, 21 and 15, hard and soft. Piercing or air. If we were to (21 and 15) for mix support, we now have 17 and 2. I know we're going to upgrade some of these, but I think oh no, we already have artillery. We back at that and engineers. I think that is just a better unit. Now if we add this in for all the mix support bonuses, oh, we can't add more units yet. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a better solution, I think. Again, if somebody likes to do math and figure out all these things better than I do, I'm more of an instinctual / historical player. And knowing that we get that, we'll get combined arms bonuses because we have the headquarters there, but 22% here total. You can see the colored bits and pieces. We don't group yet. So that I think is pretty good for just, you know, 10 ICs And so let's, no, not attachment, I want the whole thing. Let's do a couple of those. That way we get a couple of little better divisions. Soviet Union, what energy? No. Ireland, rare materials, Ireland, Alberta, okay, Ireland. We don't have to shipping problems there. Finland, rare materials. Okay. No, we're gonna conquer you. No, no, no. And Germany gets to conquer you. Can we trade with Germany yet again? Okay, we want to get some coal. Well, more than we need, but not too much more. Not that expensive, but okay, we know aerodynamics. Good. Our aircraft will fly well. Supercharger? Yeah. Do we give them money for energy? No, thank you. We've already done that. But from our side. We get to deploy something. A couple of destroyers. Now, how big is our big fleet of death getting? Where's a big fleet of death? There's a big fleet of death called the Regia Marina. See any good? No. Let's. Well, maybe that's a relative term. I do not know the Italian naval commander as well. He looks good. Chino, superior tactician, spotter. Without being the old school element there. Not that we're probably going to get into so much combat that we'll need. We'll gain much experience. And use the order of surprise chance. Okay. Let's see. 4. We're gonna get rid of that seaplane tender. 4 destroyers. Yeah, we'll go with these are flotillas again. I'm still not been sure if these are flotillas or individual. Let's promote you. There we go. And we can produce more. Let's go with another one of these divisions. Anti-tank upgrade advanced. That I believe is here. And now we can do this one here. Those are going pretty quick, so that's good to know. My sort of gets back to what I really objected when they sort of had these 4 techs basically, different for militia, different for regular infantry, different from mobile. At first, and this is when I first picked up Hearts of Iron 3, way back then. First I sort of go, yeah, you're getting like Sturmgewehrs for the mobile troops, you know, the Panzergrenadiers. That sort of made sense to me. But then, you know, I was thinking, no, a rifle's a rifle is a rifle. And other than the vehicles, and we're already paying more and have other techs for the vehicles, not really changing a militia. look, militia either uses outdated or captured equipment, which doesn't necessarily mean bad. A Gewehr 98? I don't know that really. I mean, obviously they went through enough trouble to make a better weapon. The Car 98, the Carabine 98, but the Gewehr 98 ain't that bad. Now, if I got to march with it a lot and whatever else, it's a bit big, it's a bit bulky, a bit made for bayonet charges more, and thinking of long-range volley shooting than practical combat. But it's really not going to hinder you that much, especially if you're talking, your garrison militia, whatever, they're not going to use those that much different, so not as good, but just sort of old, outdated equipment. And so when you're talking unit-based activities here, which we are, not I'm not building rifles, I'm building units. So you're sort of, as you upgrade through the path, new regular infantry weapons means you just have the militia, one step behind, and then they maybe have the mobile troops one step ahead of where the regulars are. But you just research that, and so either they're using old equipment or captured equipment. And captured equipment, it can be bad, but can also be good, but just different calibers and not sort of what you're used to using. They're using that, or they're using standard equipment. Sometimes they got standard equipment, militia units, or they're using emergency production equipment, which generally speaking isn't as good as regular equipment. But if you're talking about militia types, emergency production equipment that used by standard types of troops and even elite troops would be the Sten gun. It's a very crude submachine gun in all aspects. It works, but it's very crude. The Germans built almost a straight copy of the Sten, though the big change was a straight down magazine for its late war emergency weapon production. So yeah, that's what I sort of objected to that. Now, what's the difference between anti-tank and anti-tank upgrades? And so, and of course, I think, choose to completely ignore this and just have no mixed support brigades for any stuff. I can choose that. But now, there is a difference between self-propelled anti-aircraft and towed anti-aircraft. Okay. They may use the same gun, but integrating a mounting is different than towing the same gun by wagon or by horse or by trucks. Often, especially early on, they were using sort of wagon wheel type things for horse towing, though, but later on they moved more towards the, either solid rubber tires or pneumatic tires, air in the tires for even horse-drawn towing weapons. So there really is, in a practical sense, no real technological difference to upgrade between a 105mm gun being towed by horses and the same 105mm gun being towed by trucks or prime movers or some other sort of means. There really isn't. So this is sort of some of the stuff I'm a little bit objecting to. And so, but if you're mounting it on something, because you did a lot, the Germans did, and we all know that this Hearts of Iron to a degree, and more so Black Ice, is all sort of based around what the Germans did, with a little bit of some of these texts, what specific various allies did, and that type of thing. So you have a situation where, up to the 88mm, they had, they mounted 88mm rarely, very rarely. More commonly the 37mm, very commonly the 20mm, either in the single barrel or in 4-barrel, the Fock-Verlaine, on the back of half-tracks that were unarmored half-tracks, self-propelled, and they were also towing the same guns behind the same half-tracks. The difference between the two, and it's an important difference, is that when you put it on the vehicle, you can, generally speaking, and in most all cases, get it into and out of action quicker. As you spot the aircraft, not like as it's making its dive, but somebody spots an aircraft up there, they can normally stop that vehicle and get on that gun and get ready to shoot faster. Now, you sort of can, depending on the gun, shoot from towed positions, but not as well, and not going to do so well. So generally speaking, and again, you can look at the North Africa use of the towed heavy anti-aircraft Flak 88s from the wheeled mounted, and used it very quickly. You didn't unhook it from the half track, didn't put out the legs, but it kicked rocked so quite a bit on the wheels, and so it took a while to get it settled down to re-aim and fire the next round. So there were some difficulties in that, but for its sort of rapid movement fires on the very flat plains, it worked. It wasn't generally done outside of North Africa, to my knowledge, that they were firing the Flak 88s from the towed position. But so that you have them mounted on the vehicle. But when you mount it on the vehicle, there's a couple of problems. One, where's the crew? You got to realize the crew normally rides on the vehicle, and the gun's being towed behind it. And so, how much of the crew can you fit on, and how much comfort? And if you've got guys that are just barely hanging, hey, we can all sort of hang on the vehicle and not fall off. After how many hours of driving are you no longer really fit to, aggressively jump on that gun and aim well? You're just sort of like hanging on for dear life. Now, I'm a little over exaggerating it, but you get my point. From being sort of having a comfortable seat wrapped up, driving in the back of, in a proper seat in the back of a half track, versus sort of sitting half-assed on your semi-gun mount that's not really made to drive around on the back of a half track, and sometimes even on the back of trucks. They also did that on some of the lighter ones, but you're not doing that so well, but maybe okay. And also once you get in place and you put out the sides, it's also a little bit smaller crew that can handle the gun too, feed in ammunition, especially if you're talking about a 4-barreled gun that you're loading in ammunition in 4 places and all of that stuff. Secondarily, where are you carrying all that ammunition? Where's the ammo? Well, sometimes they had trailers that they would tow behind the half tracks that had the ammo. So and you could still get in and out of action quickly with the gun. So that sort of does it. But having the trailer making it a little less maneuverable, and trying to pull off the side of the road and get to shooting fast, especially at ground targets and other things, because the Germans definitely used their lighter anti-aircraft weapons as fire support weapons for ground forces, which we can see here. The defensiveness, I guess, is some of that, and there and such with that, which is a ground defensiveness versus air defense or air attack. With this, so that you could get in and out of ground action a little better with that, but towed. So there are reasons for towed, and then also one of the other major benefits for a towed anti-tank or anti-air gun, though Guderian very much wanted more and more vehicle-mounted weapons, is the ability to camouflage it in place. It takes a while to dig it into place, and sometimes it's more helpful, less helpful. With you start shooting at a somewhat dug-in anti-tank gun with a 75mm round. It really doesn't matter if you hit a couple of feet of dirt before it. It matters to a machine gun bullet, but not to and a foot of dirt. It doesn't really matter too much. But so you need a lot of dirt in front of it to really matter to a larger caliber weapon, including like an enemy 20mm or 40mm anti-aircraft gun firing and fire support roll. You need a lot of dirt in front of it, but getting it a little lower to the ground, so you're a little smaller target overall, and you're able to camouflage it up quickly and easier, as opposed to, oh, we have this gun mounted on top of the back of a half track, so it's going to be that much higher up there. So you have this really neat, in this flat open field, you have this really neat dome. What's under that dome? Did they actually make it look like a haystack, or you know what I'm sort of saying? So it's very sort of visible, and maybe not as visible with as no camouflage, and you sort of still camouflage it a bit for, you know, the aircrafts don't spot you as quickly and dive right on you, so you can sort of surprise open up on them before they come in. You know, coming at another target and you open up on them. But it's easier and better to do it with a Toad. So Toad has its benefits. Self-propelled has its benefits. But with both of these, I'm taking neither of them are armored, where if you come down here, anti-aircraft upgrades, you have armored half-tracks, including the idea of the MOAG with just a 20 millimeter in the back of it, which is the armored infantry half-track, which now you've made basically an armored infantry half-track, and actually made it a little more complicated than this. The armored side fold down a little bit to open it up a little bit more, so it's actually practical and works. But you've denied yourself an infantry carrying half-track, so it's maybe not all that good. And you could just, and they did also lightly armor up the unarmored half-tracks, the same models as the unarmored, just by adding a little bit of armor plate in strategic spots. So you have, whether it's any of these here, but I'm guessing you can only do one of those. And of course, what works even better is when you've got an outdated tank chassis in mind that is somewhat armored, and also has that cross-country ability of the tank tracks, that you're then armoring up some of this stuff, or whether it's an anti-tank gun, you know, mounting on an outdated, you know, the various martyrs and whatnot. Those all sort of work, and now you're armored against at least light bullets and shell fragments and all that stuff. So I agree that these here, with, if you're talking about self-propelled armored type models versus self-propelled unarmored type models versus Toad models. But if we're just talking about anti-aircraft, it's probably too late for Heart, if they haven't already changed it for Hearts, or for the next B-Ice that's coming out in a couple of days, or maybe already out by the time you've seen this episode, but get them to change that. But I really am starting to philosophically object Well, maybe they have to do it for this. Yeah, maybe model-wise they have to do it each time, and that's why these are just ones and they're going so fast. So maybe just because this sort of weird sort of game that we have to play, you know, of only a few of these types. So maybe it's nothing we can do about it. But that's sort of my sort of objection. And maybe there's, as I'm thinking about it, as from my modding hat, maybe you can't do it any other way practically. And have different models of mixed support that you pick and choose what you get to upgrade. But like I say here, we don't have to use mixed support. We can choose not to, and not, I don't think, harm ourselves. In that, as we quickly sort of looked with, with those infantry divisions that we're doing, that they looked very good, all based on you know, the stats of just doing regulars without the support. We're going to do this next, the 3-man turret. The Italians did, by the end of their war, have a 3-man turret. So I would say most of their tanks were either 1- or 2-man turrets. Not quite sure on all the models, but that one sort of larger tank model at the end did have a 3-man turret. But we're going to go ahistorical on that. Now, I would not be objecting to the idea of either limiting that Italy's ability, or some of the other nations to do that, or you know, making it much more difficult to research for some nations. Okay, we now have, it's like armored support. So if we're going to do armored support, now that we know a little better, guessing we can only do one of these. Guessing we'll only be able to do, well, we're not going to do rockets. We're going to do engineers. Now, Italy had very little heavy stuff, heavy anti-aircraft. But maybe it would be better to see. And this is, again, for your, if we're going to do this. What I would do now, different here now, obviously with regular stuff here, I would, so I like this. I would do heavy, well, no, that's 1942. I don't know. Medium artillery, I'm glad I did that. I would probably do medium artillery here. Or even heavy artillery or something, I don't know. For the mixed support brigades instead of just regular. And just do regular for the actual battalions, you know, for when we make these, continue to do regular and regular, and have these as heavy with the mixed support. So if we add that mixed support, we're adding heavy to it instead of just adding regular. So the one thing, because of the cost, long-term building cost of them, is generally engineers. So that's the one thing I might want to leave off and leave to a mixed support unit, which can add some stuff. So we're going to do some of that. We're going to, you know, stay away from rocket. We're not going to do rocket. We're going to do like, I guess, self-propelled and mixed support type things. Okay. So now we have an armor choice. And this is what we're getting ready for. Okay, event change allows you to choose 4 upgrade groups for your armored support brigades. Once chosen, there will be the only text available. Each group can be selected only once. If you misclick, OK. So, first upgrade. We're gonna do engineers. Yes. Yes. Okay, we got engineers. I don't think we're going to research assault guns or tank destroyers, maybe. So, I think that's what's going to be required to do an assault gun upgrade. That would be great for Germany, but not for us. So we're going to let's go for anti-tank. And air. Let's go for artillery upgrade and armor upgrade. So we skipped anti-air. Yes. So now we have artillery, medium, artillery, but we don't have anti-tank. Where's anti-tank? Okay, I guess we're going to need to do some. Maybe I messed this up. Okay, so we're going to need to do, I guess, some tank destroyer types. But like I said, I don't plan on doing assault gun, so we're going to need to do some tank destroyer upgrades, I'm guessing, and to be able to get the engineers, we're going to need to do some armored engineer. These guys, so it's not until 41. Okay, well, keep that in mind, folks, a little bit. I was thinking motorized engineers, but okay, that's what we got. I sort of went with tanks because we can leave the anti-aircraft up to the actual units themselves. You know, up to a regular brigade of that, I'm thinking. Submarine torpedoes advanced. Good. Now we have all of these things we can do. Let's do that. And we have another naval bomber group. Or a naval bomber group, finally. Okay, well, let's stick this and stiffen these flying boats up. Flying boats are best for going after submarines. Naval bombers are best for going after surface vessels. Mobile unit command and control is advanced. Okay. That will allow us to move up to there. Bulgaria. And now I'm just not really spending money on fuel at the moment. Third show trial, kill off more of their leadership. Government repression, we're going to do appease them again. I don't know, Italy might have done more of the... Did we risk police buildings? Send in the security? And then the goon squads. We're gonna appease them. Okay, Gabriele D'Annunzio has died. Gabriele D'Annunzio has died. El Duce ordered a state funeral for him at the funeral March 3rd, 1938. A great host of intellectuals and common people, along with the most important fascist leaders, followed the body of the poet, considered a hero of the fascist republic. Many thought his death not an accident, but a murder ordered by Mussolini himself. D'Annunzio was very popular in Italy and abroad, and he never gave his full support to the fascist government. Okay, interesting. There's also other sort of things. So the PNF gains an organization in popularity, loses in dissent. Like I was thinking that maybe I should have waited for, but I didn't know. Production. About this, whether we should wait on that. Let's go for one more escort right now, and okay, yeah, 2 more fighter squadrons. Okay, anti-tank upgrade. I do know I want to do medium instead of light armor here, so we might as well do that. Okay, they agreed. These guys, okay, you can have supplies. You're probably not going to last too long. Yes, you may. You give them money for fuel. No, thank you. Yep, reorganize. Because we're not fighting anywhere. It goes to hell. Okay, mountain unit training advanced. That's good. Yeah, we're gonna let that one go. How is Spain doing? Fair. They got flanked out by there. Okay, a lot of research of single air cooling system. Good. Oh, and that one. Yes, we want to do that. And yeah, okay. And some of these smaller amounts will stick and stay so that we have them coming in for some benefit, and they'll just not cancel this because that's a lot of supplies for Venezuela to afford. Medicine has advanced. Well, good. And we're going to continue to let that go, I guess. Yeah. Helping manpower. Small ship birthing. Rebirthing. Let's look. Damage control. I think that would be important. Yeah. The last twin engine airframe research has advanced. And say something about acrylic bubbles, though they were sort of later in the war, so we're not going to do those now. Okay, so we've got that done, and I guess because we've lost a lot of popularity, and even though we've come back a little bit, yes, 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 yes. Okay, we'll no longer receive energy from money from China. They've been losing too much territory to Japan? No, not really. Okay, so it isn't too directly a war thing. Well, they may need it for some reason. Okay, industry advance, great. And we're going to let that continue. I also want to do new industrial. bombing site has advanced, and we're going to stop that. Hi is launched. Okay, there's enough choices here. Yugoslavia. No, we're just going to take energy from you, I think. Yes, we'll trade with you because we do need some. Luxembourg. We'll let Germany have that. Yeah, we'll trade with South Africa. How much is that? We'll give it America that instead. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Nice little positive. Italian Desert Special Forces. The Auto Sahara Company, La Compagnia Auto Avio Saharana, was an Italian military unit specialized in long-range patrols of the Sahara Desert. In concept, the Auto Sahara Company was similar to the Long-Range Desert Group. Okay. I do know that, oh, I forget a movie I saw a long time ago that was, I think, set before World War I about the Italians fighting the Arabs in the desert. They definitely used some armored cars and some of that stuff, but I'm wondering whether this should be later in the war? I just don't know. Or after the war, because I know the Italians developed a special commando type car to counter the LRDG and do similar sorts of missions, but that was much later, you know, after the war was going on for a while. Medium fuel tank, well, good, and that is grayed out, I'm sure. So now we can start doing some of these guys. Yeah, we'll get energy from you too. Okay, hopefully for good effect. I was impressed we did manage to generate some. Okay, gain small arms and some or something in some category. Capital ship damage control systems. Yes, so far this game seems to be a lot of this tech researching. Game of tech researching. And that's grayed out. And improve security units, which I don't think is grayed out. We're going to stop that. Now, let's see. I want to see if we get a little bit benefit if we for the mixed support units. Okay, submarine crew training has advanced. Good. Oh, it's, yeah. Well, armor. No, it's here, I think. Yes, okay, well. Two gasoline engines. That one came and went fast. Let's come down here for better naval bombers. Okay. Big important events here. Onslaught of Austria. Okay. I know we're not going to get very far, and I'm sort of hoping to get to the war and have some battles, but we'll see how far we actually get. So I know I slow it down enough, but with talks sort of like this, I am a little bit more regretting not having TRE, because I've not been consulted as a nation about Anschluss with Austria, and trying to think how because I conflate things in my mind, guys, because I know I've been working on, it's been a while now, but earlier I worked on a lot of this event chain from with Hearts of Iron 4, Italy dealing with the Three Powers Pact and the embargo from the League of Nations, and then their continued, Hitler's visits down to Italy. And those do have some corresponding, but I don't know if enough. But this really should have a, is Italy willing to allow this to happen, either right now, they're doing that. Do you want to intervene? Give me an opportunity to intervene, or earlier, late 37, very, start of 38 or something. Obviously, this is just April still, but in which sort of give Hitler a little bit more permission to do this. Right now, I'm not displeased that Hitler's doing this, because we're going down this path of an Axis ally. And this is going to help out Germany get it more consolidated, and it isn't going to hurt us. But just sort of, this was a very big, allowing this to happen, that Mussolini allowed this to happen, was a very big deal. And so, it's important that it gets a little more. I'm glad I'm playing this through. Because Schuschnigg could have seen a bit more support from Mussolini, because Schuschnigg was a fascist and agreed, generally speaking, with Mussolini in fascism, and he was an Austrian nationalist. Austrian nationalism, I will say, was never strong. And by that I mean you got Hitler, who, leaves Austria before World War I. He's in Germany when World War I is declared, and is ecstatic that Germany's going to war, and along with everybody else. I mean, it was just like, they thought it was going to be a Napoleonic type war, or, we all go, everybody puts on a uniform, we all march around, we shoot, 5 or 10% of the people die, the war's over, it's done, come home within a year. That's what they sort of thought. there'd be a few, 1 or 2 or 10 big sort of Napoleonic type battles, yes, with some more modern machinery, but it's just going to be over, and hurrah, hooray. And that's what they thought in France, that's what they thought in Germany. They just thought that that's what it was going to be. And even though, like Germany did, and to the earlier French Napoleonic era, that it's a levy en masse instead of just everybody waving goodbye to the professional soldiers, of the 18th century. That was just a small sort of class of people that fought. It was going to be a mass thing, but it wasn't going to be overly destructive. So it was all hooray, hurrah. Everyone thought they were going to win, but even if they lost, well, okay, you lose a province or two, and we sign a peace treaty, and that sort of thing. Not the end of the world, as it were, something like that. But Mussolini could have propped up Schuschnigg more. It was really Mussolini's abandonment of the Three Powers Pact that pushed the Austrian populace, who was, like I say, well, it was also the German success that Germany was doing really successful. That a lot of the Austrians, because they, if they were the lead element in a great empire of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, well, great, but they're no longer that. So joining the Reich wasn't that, it wasn't necessarily diminishing your Austrianness. You're just joining the new great empire, and they want to be part of the great empire. But there was enough people that I do sort of kind of see it as eventual, but under Hitler and such. But you have that first, not Schuschnigg, but it's not written there. The Austrian leader that the Nazis assassinated in 1933. So you got to remember, the Nazis killed the chancellor, I guess. Assassinated him. It wasn't approved by Germany, but the local Austrian Nazis, did an assassination against him. So killed another head of state, and that had significant ramifications. So that there was, still this sort of thing. And then with Hungary, but you really don't start getting a lot of Hungary moving towards Germany either until you really start to see the abandonment of the Three Powers Pact by Mussolini. That's when you start seeing Horthy courting Hitler, because he's realizing, as this thing's going on at different stages, that they're going to be neighbors, and that that's where the real power, and not with Italy. So that's a big shift. Okay, and small ship classes has advanced. Grayed out, we'll see what we do there. And depth charges has advanced, and that is not grayed out, but we're going to stop that. And at this point, at this big element, we're going to end this episode. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. I do appreciate that. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, corrections, because I'm sure I'm getting some of this wrong, at least in little details. Do appreciate corrections and mentioning that. Check below the videos, see if anybody's made any corrections or comments, and join in the conversation, because even if I've sort of answered the question, if you've got something else to say on it, please do. I really like it when you guys talk to each other. I really appreciate that, not just to me. That I do hope to still be in the conversation, but yeah, hang out with each other and chat about things. See you next time for more Arts of Iron.